produce both time and money. If it doesn't do both, then it's not a business, it's just a job.
Hello and welcome to Meet the Coach. I'm Carla, Egan, your host, and today we're talking to a true business owner coach. Now that's an important distinction. He doesn't work with teams, he doesn't work with executives, he only works with business owners one-to-one. To date, he has worked with over 350 coaches over the last 20 years, helping them to either grow their business, save their business, or turn their business around so they can get the lifestyle that they want and that they deserve. Our guest today is Mr. Bruce Frame from Bruce Frame Business Owner Coach. And Bruce, you join us from Victoria. Welcome.
Thanks, Carla. Great pleasure to be here, and I really look forward to this interview.
Great. Well, I love that you're very specific in who you work with. So I'd love to ask you some questions that probably many business owners may want to know some of the answers to. So is it okay if we just dive straight in?
Go for it.
Oh, terrific. So as we emerge from COVID-19, what do you see as the major challenges that business owners need to face in this post-pandemic world?
Of those that have survived, and I think that's the qualifier straight up, of those that have survived, they're in three groups. The first group is they're struggling, they've come out the other end and they're trying to make ends meet and they're just trying to make it work. The second group is they found a way to make it survivable through COVID, and they've come out the other end basically where they were 2 years ago. And then the third group is they've had the best 2 years of their lives in business. So it really depends on which category they fit into. Those that have really struggled have got to get back in control of their finances. And as Keith Cunningham always said, finance is the language of business. So you have to understand where your finances are. You have to understand where your money comes from and where it goes to. And then you have to find a way to generate more income without spending more. So that's the focus for the first group. The second group, those that have found a way to survive, they're looking for a way to exploit the opportunities that the rebound from the pandemic has presented. So we were promised this early on, and in Victoria, where we had the longest lockdown of anywhere in the world, it's taken us a fair while to actually get going, and it really wasn't until after Easter that we saw this start to happen. So the second group, existers as I call them, they need to find a way to excel. So they need to be focused on marketing and recruiting. Unfortunately, there's a real dearth of employees at the moment, with so many people not available to work. So there's a challenge there. And so they need to think about what is their recruitment system and what is their onboarding system, and does that actually suit the needs of the business now? My father always said you get the people you deserve, and I think that's true. And so the people you have are good enough, so work harder on yourself than you do on your business. So find a way to grow yourself and use the people that you have and the people that you can get, and don't worry about trying to get the best people, I guess is what I'm saying. And then the third group, what I call the excellers, those that are really turned a rocket ship around, they need to substantiate that. They need to find a way to stop it now dropping back. And so their focus is really systems and structure. They need to look at how do we get the best possible structure in the business so that the business can operate at its new level without the owners being hands-on 24/7 to make the business work.
I really love that you've categorized where business owners are in their business growth or development. And there's probably a lot of business owners watching and listening to us right now, working out which category that they fit in. Yeah. So based on that, Bruce, does every business owner need a business owner coach?
Obviously, I'm going to say yes, but let me just point out what I think is the obvious truth. I have a coach. I have always had a coach in my coaching business. My coach is one of the most senior coaches in Australia. He's very well known. He now only has 3 clients, and I'm one of them, because he has other business ventures that he's involved in. But I rely on him the same way my clients rely on me. The truth is, it's lonely at the top. This is an adage that's been around forever, and it's true. It's lonely at the top. Owning a business is lonely, and having people that you can actually rely on to give you the honest truth, not the coloured truth. One of my early clients said to me one day, "You are the only person I can be truly honest with about my business." She was a hairdresser, and her partner was a mathematician. And so if she said to him that the business was struggling, his response would be, "Well, what do you know? You're only a hairdresser." It was that sort of dismissiveness. And she said, if I was to talk to the staff and say business is going really well, they want a pay rise. And if I say business is struggling, then they go looking for another job. And the same sort of thing happens with customers. And my accountant really doesn't care. They're just putting the numbers together to make sure my tax is good. And that's what they should do, and that's fine. The bank doesn't care, provided I pay the loan. So no one really cares except you. If I say to you, business is really struggling, you help me find solutions and you push me in the direction I need to go. And if I tell you business is going well, you challenge me to do better. And so having a coach for her and for me, because it's the same for me, having a coach for us is a way to think outside our own headspace, to be able to look at it from an external perspective and see the bigger picture. They say you can't see your own bald spot. Obviously I can, but most people can't see their own bald spot. And it's true, you need a third-party perspective. I need a third-party perspective, and I think everyone in business needs that third-party perspective. And the differentiation you made early, thank you very much, between a business coach and a business owner coach is something that came to me perhaps 10 years ago now. I am very focused on the owner of the business. I want to make the owner's life better. And the only way I can make the owner's life better is to give them a business that does what they need, and that is produce both time and money. If it doesn't do both, then it's not a business, it's just a job. And it may be the worst job in the world because you're working for someone who doesn't know how to run a business. So it's really important to get that differentiation. If you're looking for an expert in your field, you're not looking for a business owner coach. You're really looking for a consultant. And if you want a consultant, that's fine. If you ask a consultant the time, they will buy a watch on your account and tell you the time. Whereas if you ask a coach the time, they will ask you what you think the time is and then give you feedback. And I think that's the role of the coach, to challenge the client, to find out what it is they know, what it is they don't know, find out where they want to go, find out why they're not going there now, and then create the path and hold them to account. Because good coaching at the end is all about accountability.
I love your distinction with that, Bruce. And I wrote down delivering the coloured truth. And there's a lot of business coaches out there. There's a lot of coaches. There's not a lot of business owner coaches that I've come across, and that's why I was excited to dive a bit deeper into what you do and what you offer. So in terms of business owners out there, what should they be looking for if they're considering engaging a coach, a business owner coach? What should they be looking for? Because I think that's going to be adding some value to this research.
They should be looking for, as my coach said to me many, many years ago, their most unreasonable friend. So they want to be friendly. You can't be friends. I think in business you can't be friends. You can be friendly, but you can't be friends. And so I think they should be looking for someone they can be friendly with, that they've got a rapport with, that they respect, that they understand, but someone who will not agree with them and accept that what they're doing is okay. They get enough of that from friends and family. I'm not having a go at friends and family. It's just true. It's not that they don't want them to succeed. It's that they don't want them to be sad. And so friends and family will tell you what they think you want to hear. A good coach will tell you what they think is true, regardless of whether that is what you want to hear or not. And so that's the unreasonable friend part. They won't say what you hope they will say. They will say what they think is true. Sometimes it's what you hope they will say, but sometimes it's not. And I always say to my clients, I will tell you what I think is true. And if that's unpleasant, then I apologize for it now, but it's not going to hold me back. So when you say, what should you look for in someone in a business owner coach? Someone you could be friendly with, not friends with, someone you could be friendly with, someone that you respect, someone whose opinion makes sense, and someone that will hold you to account and not hold back.
And you have been a unreasonable friend to over 350 business owners. So that's quite an impressive record over the last 20 years. So let's get down to a little bit more of the detail. What type of investment do business owners need to make, and what type of a return on investment can they expect from investing in a business owner coach? Can you just explore that a little bit, Bruce?
So this question comes up a lot. People want to say, how much does it cost? And the truth is, in an offhand way, I like to say business coaching is free, because you make more money working with a coach than you do without. Now, having said that, yes, there's an investment up front. You need to be able to fund it for at least 90 days. If you can fund it for 90 days, then your coach should be able to show you how they can make more money with you than without within 90 days. Now, having said that, what does it actually cost? It's going to cost somewhere between $800 and $2,500 a month. And it depends on the client. It doesn't depend on the coach. So I like to think that there are 4 levels of business owners that start working with me. The first is what I call technician. And I define a technician as someone who is more than 50% hands-on. So if they're spending more than half their time doing what the business does, if they're electricians like I used to be, that's on the tools. If they're accountants, and I've worked with accountants, then they're in the office actually doing the accounting work for customers, and lawyers and doctors, and it's all the same. It's the same type of business. It's just a different approach to what the business does. But if the owner is spending more than half their time doing the work of the business, then they're a technician, and they would start at the lower end of my price scale. The next level up, I call manager. So they are less than 50% hands-on, but they can't get away. So the business only works when they are there. So it could be all the way up to 99% hands-off, but they can't get away. If they go away for more than a couple of weeks, the thing just falls apart. That's manager. They are still heavily involved in keeping the business running. The next level up is multiplier. They've now got a business the pricing for that's mid-range, in the $1,000 to $2,000 range. And then the multiplier, they've now got a business that works when they're not there. They can go away for extended periods of time, but they've got to the practical capacity of the business. If they're, what's a good example, a hairdressing salon, it's got 10 chairs and they're 80% occupied. You can't go any further unless you open another one. So they're a multiplier. They are now looking for an opportunity to go further. They're going to be at the top of that range in pricing. And then the fourth one is what I call the entrepreneur. And they're doing one of the 4 F's: finish, float, flog, franchise. So if they're going to do any of those 4 when they start with me, then they are an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs price on application, because it varies so much depending on what I'm dealing with. I mean, sometimes it's a board of directors, and that's a whole other ballgame. So I think that most of my clients start as either technicians or managers, and so that price range between $800 and $2,000 is about where I would expect them to be. And it varies depending on how much work I believe will be involved for me, because the amount of time that I spend with my client, I spend twice that amount of time working on that business without my client. So there's a practical limit on what I can actually do. Does that help?
Yeah, it's really good. And I was just thinking about your 4 levels that I was going to ask you, where do most of the clients fit? And I suspected it would be in the technician and the management level. So speaking about those 2 levels specifically, because I know I read somewhere recently that new business registrations have actually are on the rise over the last 18 months. So probably a lot of them fall into that technician management arena. What are the risks to those, Bruce, that don't invest in a business owner coach?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Bless you. Yeah, what are those risks to those business owners that, choose not to invest in a coach?
A reasonably well-known statistic is that 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And I wrote a book some years ago, and I wrote that in the book, and I thought, if I'm going to write this in the book, I better make pretty sure that it's true. So I had my VA do some research, and if it's not exactly true, it is very, very close. And it's really unfortunate, but that's what happens with businesses. They fail, and they fail for lots of reasons, but there are 5 big ones. The first is they really don't know what they're doing. They literally got into a business where they had no understanding of it at all. They fail quickly and spectacularly, and generally there's not a lot I can do to help them. The second is they run out of money. They can't cash flow it long enough to make it profitable. Generally, they fail right on the point of when it could turn around, and that's really disappointing. The third group have got a product or service that the community doesn't want. They're trying to sell fridges in the Antarctic, and it just doesn't work. The fourth group, they've got a product or service, but their price point makes it unaffordable. So they're selling heaters in the Antarctic, but they cost $10,000 each. And so it just doesn't work. And then the fifth group have got some sort of asset problem. They've got the wrong building, the wrong machines, the wrong stock, the wrong people, the wrong location, something structurally wrong. They're the 5 big reasons why businesses fail in the first 5 years. But what's not well known is of those that survive the first 5 years, 80% fail in the second 5 years. And the reason they fail in the second 5 years, there's only one. The owner gives up. They burn out. It's just too hard. The business works, it makes a profit, everyone gets paid, even the owner gets paid, but it only works because they work so many hours and they are just totally exhausted and they give up and walk away. And that is my target market. The group that has got through most of the first 5 years, and of course it's not exactly 5 years, it's 3 to 7, but they've got through those 5 major problems and they're in danger of the 6th problem, and they're the ones I really want to help. That's my group.
Thanks, and it just brings back to your previous point of the benefit of investing 90 days, 3 months in your business, just to ensure that you can see where you are, where you categorize what level they're at and what type of support or where they need to focus their attention on as a business owner for their business. I think that's a really nice wrap up, Bruce, and you've been very generous in sharing and mapping that out for business owners. And I can see how you've created a really successful business because of the way that you work.
My absolute pleasure, Carla. I enjoy working with business owners. I love working with business owners. I do this. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life. And
you can tell you. You can tell you light up, and you're in your genius zone, which is terrific. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to interview you today.
Yeah.
Final question to you. We have the pleasure of listing you on the coaching directory. What does that mean to you and your business, Bruce?
All businesses have to generate new business all the time. So I'm fortunate in that my retention of clients is very long. And so I describe it as a gold mine. I've got a gold mine that's got a long, strong reef of gold, but I only have one gold mine. And so I always need an ability to generate a new client base. And that's the coaching directory to me. It's the ability to have someone working away in the background to produce the occasional client for me. I produce clients myself through networking and referrals, and that's where all of the bulk of my clients has come from over the last 20 years. But the coaching directory allows me to have an activity in a different area that is not within my narrow field, a different field where I can produce clients that are new and potentially produce another gold mine. So that's why the coaching directory is important to me.
Terrific, Bruce. And look, that brings us to the end of our interview. And thank you for joining us on Meet the Coach. You've actually answered some really obvious questions for business owners. And I appreciate you sharing some of the insights that you've captured, you've collated over the last 20 odd years on behalf of working with and inspiring business owners.
You're most welcome. It's been my absolute pleasure.
And as always, thank you to you for watching, listening, and for following our Meet the Coach series. If you like our show, please rate and review us, and we look forward to catching you in our next episode. This is Carla Egan from the Coaching Directory, where we connect you to your ideal coach. Bye for now.